brand new 2022 Toyota Tundra, courtesy of Younger Toyota in Hagerstown, Maryland. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. And so I am in this one today, obviously, because it has been completely redesigned for the 2022 model year. And specifically, we are in the limited trim here today. So we will be going over completely everything about this limited trim. You have a brand new 14-inch color touchscreen display, a new twin turbo V6 power plant as well. And so like I said, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, all of that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so there will be several different configurations, obviously with trucks, that's the way it works. For specifically even the limited trim level, essentially for the limited, it starts at $46,850. For the 4x2 double cab with a 6.5-foot bed, going up to $52,230 for the 4x4 Crew Max 6.5-foot bed, which is the one we have today. And the price as tested that we are currently in, with just about every single option you could possibly want on this thing, $59,983. But like I said, regardless of the configuration that you go with, the power plant on this particular Tundra Limited is going to be the same. Powering the beast is a 3.5-liter twin turbo V6, 389 horsepower at 5,200 RPM, 479 pound-feet of torque, coming in at 2,400 RPM. Power center rear wheels are all wheels through a 10-speed automatic. 0 to 60 time coming in at approximately 5.7 seconds, with MPG numbers coming in at 18 in the city, 23 in the highway for the rear-wheel drive, 17 city, 22 then on the highway for the four-wheel drive. But either way, surprisingly, Toyota recommends regular unleaded fuel, so it's gonna save you a little bit of money there. That's pretty cool, I like that. But so then before we do any kind of fun acceleration test here in our Tundra, I wanted to mention to you guys the drive modes. So the drive mode circular dial is located directly behind the shifter. You essentially turn it to the left and the right to adjust the drive modes. And so drive modes will include Eco, Normal, Sport, and there is also a tow and haul mode button. For that one, you just simply press the button, but essentially adjusting things like the shift points and the throttle response. So now having gotten all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put the Tundra here to the test, and let's see how quickly we can get our new Tundra here up to speed. All right, you guys, and so I did just switch it on over to sport mode, so we are ready to go in 3, 2, 1. A little bit of a rolling start. There it is. Nice. Quick shifts. Nice sound. Wow. Heck of a lot quicker than I thought a truck of this size was going to be. That is plenty of an acceleration to merge you onto the highway. Really, that was very impressive. I know I was kind of hesitant because it's not a V8 anymore, it's a twin turbo V6, but I'm telling you guys, no turbo lag, and that was an extremely impressive acceleration, quite honestly, for, like I said, a truck of this size. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. And so up front, you will find 13.9-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 13.6-inch ventilated rear discs. As far as that braking feel goes, yeah, it's fine. I mean, it brakes like a truck. There's a little bit of a softness to the braking feel, but still not going to have any issues with coming to the stop in this beast. But then touching on suspension and handling, up front, you're going to get an independent dip, wishbone type front suspension. In the back, coil spring multi-link rear suspension. Do want to also mention there are some options when it comes to the suspension as well. There is a rear air suspension that goes for $650. There's also an off-road suspension with Bilstein shocks. It's going to come with the Toyota off-road package, or the TRD off-road package, my bad. That goes for $3,085, and it's actually a couple of them, but that was the cheapest one that I could find. But overall, as far as ride quality goes, it actually rides a bit smoother than most trucks I typically review, so I'm definitely a fan of that. As far as steering feel goes, it feels like it should. It's definitely not a loose steering feel, but it's not a heavy steering feel either. I would say it's probably just right for what the Tundra is, so it should definitely get the job done in this thing. As far as cabin noise goes, I'm going 50 miles per hour right now. I do have the air on. There's a little bit of road noise, but really it's perfectly fine, so definitely no issues. Nothing that would bother me. I'll just put it that way. And I should also mention there is an acoustic laminated front windshield that does come standard on the Tundra Limited, so that may be contributing to our serene cabin that we have in this one here today. And touching on visibility, I can see actually pretty darn good out the back. There is a massive rear window there, so overall visibility is perfectly fine for me as well, considering the size of this truck. I'll just put it that way. But anyways, that about rounds out the performance segment of this review, guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of our brand new 2022 Toyota Tundra. All right, you guys, and so here she is, the new 2022 Toyota Tundra, completely redesigned for the 2022 model year. Let me tell you, this design is a heck of a lot better than what it used to be. Not that the old design was bad, but this thing looks dang good. But let's go ahead and start up front on this one. All black front grille specific to the limited trim level, and of course each trim level is going to provide you with a slightly different look up front and different trim accents throughout, really. And you do have some satin chrome surrounds surrounding that front grille, again specific to the limited trim level. You guys can see there's some Toyota lettering etched into the front portion of that rear bumper there as well. And the cool thing is the fog lights are actually integrated into the front grille design, which I thought was pretty cool. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's actually touch on the headlights here. LED headlights do come standard. They come with LED daytime running lights as well. Automatic feature, of course, coming with that, meaning when it starts to get dark at night, those headlights will turn on automatically for you there. Manual leveling adjustment as well, along with automatic high beams, meaning if you have those high beams on and it senses a vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically dim them back to low beams. And then when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bump that back up to high beams. So it's just one less thing you got to worry about there. And again, LED fog lights coming standard as well, and they are placed within that front grille design as opposed to kind of underneath of the headlights, which I thought was pretty cool. So big fan of that. But there also is some additional ventilation found just underneath of these headlights as well. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but anyways, overall a very, very good looking front end. But pretty much rounds out the front. Let's now go ahead and make our way to the side of the Tundra. All right, so now since we are around to the side of this one, first thing I want to mention is there is a gloss black A-pillar. I think you guys can see that. It looks pretty darn good in my personal opinion, but you do have some chrome window surrounds, or really chrome beltline molding, I guess you could say, because it doesn't continue up onto the top. You do have some chrome limited badging on those rear doors. I think you guys can see that as well. Got some chrome Tundra badging on the front doors, and chrome door handles also coming standard on our limited trim level that we have here today. Another thing is you have some gray painted over fenders. I think you guys can see that just over the wheel wells there. So not going to be body colored, but Toyota chose to accent them in gray. I think that still looks good, honestly. As far as the side mirrors go, they are black to match that gloss black A-pillar. They are heated, auto dimming, power adjustable with integrated turn signals. They are power folding with the reverse tilt down feature then as well. So as far as function goes, pretty much have absolutely everything side mirrors can possibly have these days. But take a look at the wheel configuration. They are bicolor. They are 20-inch machine finished aluminum alloys, and they look dang good as well. But pretty much rounds out the side profile of this one. Let's now go ahead and make our way to the back of the Tundra. All right, and so now since we are around to the back of this one, you do have the body colored tailgate spoiler kind of integrated into that rear tailgate there. So looks pretty good. Chrome handle on the back of that as well to tie in with all the other chrome accents, including that 4x4 badging as well. Tundra lettering spelled out horizontally, of course, on that rear tailgate. LED taillights actually come standard, so I do like that you have the extra illumination there, because not all trucks will give you those LED taillights, of course. LED center high mount stop lamp to go along with that, and you do have some satin chrome accenting on that rear bumper as well. And since we're back here, let's go ahead and touch on the towing numbers. You guys can see the connectors just to the left of the license plate there, but as far as towing capacity goes, it is going to range whether or not you go with the crew cab or the double cab, whether or not you go with a 5.5 foot or 6.5 foot bed. But ultimately the max towing capacity specific to the limited trim that we have today comes in at 11,400 pounds, which is definitely a good bet. But just below it all, you will find a single exhaust outlet tucked away on the driver's side underneath there, and there is a TRD exhaust available. But having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next. As always, here is that exhaust clip. Alright, so now since we are around to the back of the Tundra, when it comes to opening the rear tailgate, there's actually a button on the key fob. There is a button, that chrome handle, of course, on the tailgate itself, but the coolest way to open that tailgate is actually a tailgate release bump switch in the driver's side rear tail light. So that is the kind of 007 way, and essentially they put it there so you can easily hop up onto the back if you wanted to. So just another placement where you can actually open that thing up. But once opened up, like I've been saying previously, there is either a 5.5 foot or 6.5 foot bed available. We do have the 6.5 foot currently with our crew cab here today, so that really this is a beast of a truck that we're in. Payload capacity comes in at 1,740 pounds max. There is a deck rail system with 4 adjustable tie down cleats. It's always nice. Aluminum reinforced composite bed construction as well. Integrated cargo lighting as expected, and it's all LED cargo lighting as well, by the way, so that is definitely pretty cool. So overall, it's got everything you could possibly need really in the bed of the truck. But then making our way up to the rear legroom is going to differ depending upon which cab size you go with. Of course, double cab is going to give you 33.3 inches of rear legroom. That's not obviously the one we have today. We do have the crew cab coming in at 41.6 inches. So for reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I have back there. There are, however, 60/40 flip up bench seats, meaning those rear seats can fold up in typical truck fashion, I guess you could say. And underneath of those seats, you can actually find some rear under seat storage, which is pretty cool. I definitely was a fan of that. And you find that a lot with pickup trucks. So always a fan. Like I said, rear ventilation is actually going to come with the Crew Max only. You're not going to get that rear ventilation with the double cab. You do have some rear charging ports back there. You not only have a 120 volt power outlet, but you also have a USB charging port and a standard phone charging port back there as well. But also rear center armrest with cup holders back there too. I don't think I mentioned that yet, but rear seats were plenty comfortable. Certainly a ton of legroom, at least here in our crew cab. But then making our way up to the front seats, Softex upholstery is going to be standard on the Limited. This front seats will be 8-way power adjustable for both the driver and the passenger, which is pretty cool, with 2-way power lumbar as well. Memory settings do come standard for the driver for up to 2 different drivers actually. And you will actually get heated and ventilated front seats that come standard on the Limited. Those buttons are located just below the infotainment screen, but overall, seats were actually plenty comfortable. So definitely don't see any issues with taking this thing on a long road trip or on the beach or whatever the case. So that is definitely nice. Let's take a look at the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping. It is leather wrapped, and you can actually get a heated steering wheel like we have today for an additional $150, which isn't all that bad for that. Then make our way to the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key, although it is still in the plastic here, but essentially all of your buttons are located on one side of the key, along with that Toyota logo. You got lock, unlock, and the button to pop the rear tailgate, but it is all keyless entry with a push button start. So all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and press that engine start button located just by the driver's right knee. And so once started up, gauge cluster is going to be a standard analog cluster with a 4.2 inch center display with the Limited. However, I will say with upper trim levels, you can get a full 12.3 inch digital gauge cluster, but with the Limited, you can't. So that is currently what you're looking at right now. But I will say there are steering wheel mounted controls found on the left side of the steering wheel if you wanted to adjust what is on that center digital portion, giving you things like your outside temperature, how many miles you have left until you hit empty. There is a digital speedometer, of course, when you need your next oil change and different driving statistics, the list goes on. So it pretty much does have everything you could possibly want in the digital portion there. Then making our way to overall interior quality, a panoramic roof will go for $1,350. If you wanted that option, we do have that option, of course. So that's letting in a heck of a lot more light for this video, so I am appreciative. LED interior lighting coming standard. There is an overhead sunglass holder as well, found on the ceiling of this one here. Auto dimming rear view mirror with HomeLink controls for up to 3 different garage doors. You gotta love that. And it's also kind of a frameless design too, which is pretty cool. Dual zone climate control coming standard. There is a leather wrap shift knob as well. Wireless phone charger is going to be available. We do have that option as well. I've been taking advantage of that, so that has been charging my phone this entire time I've been filming, which is always nice. As far as overall interior quality goes, it's pretty direct and to the point here. I do like the little ledges found on just below all 4 windows in this thing. A nice little place to rest your arm that I don't typically see, which is pretty cool. You got your grab handles, of course, to get in and out of both the front and back seats, so typical truck fashion there as well. Kind of have this carbon fiber look, although it's plastic, found just above the passenger side glove box there. Got tons of little places for storage. There's an electromechanical parking brake, dual cup holders, and within the center armrest you have a ton of storage along with a USB charging port and a phone charging port, it looks like, in there as well. So it's a very practical and functional interior, I guess I could put it that way. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the tech here, because this infotainment screen is massive. For the Limited trim level, you get a 14-inch color touchscreen display, and it is a beast to go along with the size of this truck, I guess. Bluetooth and audio streaming do come standard. Wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, you gotta love that. So many vehicles these days are still having you connect it via USB cable, so the wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, that is a big deal, at least to me. You can check out different driving statistics up on that massive screen if you wanted to as well. Of course, can check out your radio information. And by the way, when it comes to the sound systems on the Tundra, 9 speakers is going to be the standard configuration, but there is an optional 12-speaker JBL sound system that goes for $565. That is actually going to come with a subwoofer and an external amp as well, and that is the sound system that we have here today. So what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and turn on the radio, see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of this one.
there's no going back.
Actually, that was really, really good. That was a really good sound system, you guys. The bass was absolutely ridiculous, and come to think of it, my first car, I had a JBL subwoofer in it, so I know the bass is excellent with JBL, and it is an extremely reliable sound system as well. They got a very good name behind them, I'll say that. So really, that sound system, that JBL sound system, is plenty for the Tundra without a doubt. Anyways, last thing I want to mention to you guys on the infotainment screen is when you do put this thing in reverse, you of course will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board. There is also an optional panoramic view monitor. We have that. You guys can see that screen to the right as well. But as always, that is going to lead us into safety. So to start, front side curtain airbags do come standard, but there are also driver and passenger knee airbags as well. You don't always get that. In the back, you're going to have latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system. But actually, Toyota does a really good job with standard safety on the Tundra as well. You of course get Toyota Safety Sense 2.5. That comes standard on the Limited. That gives you a pre-collision system with pedestrian detection, dynamic radar cruise control, lane departure alert with steering assist, lane tracing assist, automatic high beams, and road sign assist as well. But not only that, there's still more standard safety that comes with the Limited, including a blind spot monitoring system with the rear cross traffic alert, and front and rear parking sensors with automatic braking then as well. And so overall, when it comes to my final thoughts here of the Tundra Limited, the twin turbo V6 is plenty powerful. And that's kind of one thing I was worried about when I first started driving this one. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, I want the V8. But quite honestly, I've driven the V8 and now I've driven the twin turbo V6. This is plenty. This is plenty powerful. I'm telling you guys, you will not be able to tell the difference. It's a heck of an acceleration in this thing. But anyways, the tailgate release button and the rear tail light, that is pretty cool as well. I like that. The 14-inch screen is absolutely massive. It's kind of reminiscent of Tesla, just horizontal rather than vertical, which is pretty cool. Excellent exterior styling, I will say that as well. And of course, Toyota's got that reputation of incredible reliability, which I would imagine this would go right along with that. And I know somebody's going to say, oh, what about Tacoma, courtesy of Younger Toyota in Hagerstown, Maryland. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So we're in this one today because, for one, Toyota, of course, has legendary reliability, and that does include the Tacoma as well. Not only that, there's actually some suspension upgrades for the 2022 model year as well, which we will of course be covering in this video, along with everything else about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, all that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so as you can imagine, there are several different trim levels for the 2022 Tacoma. First one being the SR, which actually is the one we have today, starting at $27,150. SR5 for $28,940. TRD Sport for $34,060. TRD Off-Road for $35,340. Limited for $39,905. And lastly, the TRD Pro starting at $46,585. And that was all base pricing for each individual trim level. Of course, there are plenty of options, being whether you get rear wheel drive or four wheel drive. There's the bed length and engine options as well. And speaking of, when it comes to the power plant on the Tacoma, there are two engine configurations. First one is going to be available for the SR and SR5 trims, and actually the one again that we have today, and that is going to be a 2.7 liter naturally aspirated inline four cylinder, putting out 159 horsepower at 5,200 RPM, 180 pound-feet of torque coming in at 3,800 RPM. Power center rear wheels are all wheels through a 6-speed automatic, with MPG numbers coming in at 20 in the city, 23 then on the highway, taking regular unleaded fuel. But so then there is that other engine option for the other trims, and that is going to be a 3.5 liter direct injected Atkinson Cycle V6, putting out 278 horsepower at 6,000 RPM, 265 pound-feet of torque coming in at 4,600 RPM. Power center rear wheels are all wheels through a 6-speed manual actually is available, or a 6-speed automatic. 0 to 60 time for that engine configuration is going to come in at approximately 7.6 seconds. MPG numbers coming in at 19 in the city, 24 on the highway for the rear-wheel drive variant, 17 city, 21 then on the highway for the four-wheel drive, again taking regular unleaded fuel. And so, having now got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and put that acceleration here to the test. Keep in the back of your mind, we do have the four-cylinder, slightly less powerful engine option today. So let's go ahead and find that straight away. Let's put the Tacoma here to the test, and let's see how quickly we can get this one here up to speed. All right, in 3, 2, 1, a little bit of a rolling start, but here we go. It's not bad. It feels like a 4-cylinder, quite honestly. I've driven the V6 in this Tacoma plenty of times. That one is pretty darn good, and 0 to 60 in 7.6, and that engine, it's plenty of an acceleration for that thing. This one just does all right. It does feel like a 4-cylinder. It definitely sounds like a 4-cylinder, but it should get the job done. I'll just put it that way. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. So up front, you will find 10.8-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 10-inch rear drum brakes. As far as that 60-0 stopping distance goes, it's actually going to come in at 143 feet. And as far as the braking feel goes, it's actually okay. It's a little bit on the softer side at slower speeds, I'll put it that way. It's definitely a soft braking feel at slower speeds, but when you're going a little bit quicker, it's really not that bad, honestly. But having said that, 143 might be the very worst 60-0 number that I have ever seen. Typically with pickup trucks, you do get a little bit higher of a number, but still 143 feet is certainly not the best I've ever tested. But anyways, then touching on suspension and handling, up front, you're gonna get a double wishbone type front suspension. In the back, leaf spring rear suspension, front and rear stabilizer bars, gas pressurized shock absorbers as well. Sport tuned suspension though, coming with the TRD Sport, and then you will get an off-road suspension with Bilstein shocks if you were to go with that TRD off-road trim, and then the TRD Pro is going to bump that up even more, giving you a machine forged upper control arm and TRD tuned off-road suspension with 2.5-inch Fox internal bypass coilovers and rear remote reservoir shocks as well. And I do want to also mention, although we don't have them today, there are drive modes available when it comes to the suspension. They are available. Again, we don't have them, but those drive modes will include mud and sand, loose rock, rock and dirt, and mogul and rock as well, helping you reduce the wheel spin, adjust the throttle response, and messes around with the traction control settings then as well. So as far as ride quality goes, it's actually been perfectly fine. This thing rides pretty darn smooth so far on my short test drive here today, so definitely no issues there. As far as steering feel goes, it's brilliant. I love the steering feel on the Tacoma. I always have whenever I test drive them. It tends to lean a bit on the heavier side of things, which I personally appreciate. Gives the driver a better feeling of being in control, at least in my personal opinion. So definitely like the heavier steering feel on the Tacoma. As far as cabin noise goes, it's perfectly fine yet again. Certainly had no issues with that in my short test drive. And touching on visibility, I can see perfectly fine out the back. It looks like a traditional truck visibility, and because we have the access cab, it's probably even better. But anyways, that about rounds out the performance segment of this review, you guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of our brand new 2022 Toyota Tacoma. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2022 Toyota Tacoma. And just so you guys know, here's a quick shot of the window sticker, just so everybody knows it is indeed a 2022. There's only one slight new change when it comes to the exterior for 2022, and that's going to be some updated wheel options, specifically for the TRD Pro. So did want to start by mentioning that, but let's go ahead and start up front, actually. Of course, the front grille is going to differ dependent upon which trim level that you go with. To the sides, then, projector beam halogen headlights do come standard for all trim levels, but the limited. But those projector beam halogens like we have here today, they will come with daytime running lights, the automatic feature as well, and actually automatic high beams do come standard for every single trim level yet again, meaning when you have your high beams on at night, it senses a vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically bounce those back to low beams. Then when that vehicle is gone, it's automatically going to bump it back up to high beams again. So definitely a very convenient feature there. Just down below underneath of those headlights though, fog lights will come in the SR5 trim level and up, so we just missed them here on our SR trim level, unfortunately. But TRD Pro front skid plates, of course, coming with the TRD Pro, obviously, and you were looking for that hood scoop that the Tacoma has come to be known for. That is going to be found on the TRD Sport trim level and up, so that's how you're going to go ahead and get that. But pretty much rounds out the front end of this one. Let's now go ahead and make our way to the side. All right, so now making our way to the side of the Tacoma here. Of course, there are access and double cab configurations available. We do have the access cab. With the double cab, you actually get the door handle on the rear doors there. It's going to give you more legroom in the back and more space overall in the back, I guess. Tacoma badging can be found on the front doors, dependent upon which trim level that you go with. We don't have that here today. Body colored power adjustable side mirrors do come standard. The side mirrors will be heated then as well, and then integrated turn signals are going to come on them if you were to go with the TRD off-road trim level and up. Then taking a look at the wheel configurations, steel wheels are going to come with the SR. There are some options, however, available. I actually love the look of the wheels on our SR that we have here today. Dark gray alloys coming with the SR5, 17-inch machine finished alloys for the TRD Sport, 16-inch machine finished alloys for the TRD Off-Road, 16-inch black alloys for the TRD Pro, and then 18-inch polished alloys then for the Limited. But pretty much rounds out the side profile here. Let's now go ahead and make our way to the back of the Tacoma. So now, since we are around to the back of this one, if your Tacoma is equipped with four-wheel drive, you will get that 4x4 badging that you guys are looking at on the left side of that tailgate there. Tacoma lettering can be found on the tailgate there as well. V6 badging if equipped. We obviously don't have that badging there today. And there is a tow hitch that is available down below. And by the way, the towing capacity for all trim levels is going to come in at 6,400 pounds, in case you were curious. But then just below it all, there is a single exhaust outlet tucked away on the passenger side underneath there. So having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next. As always, here is that exhaust clip. So now, since we are around to the back of the Tacoma, there is an easy lower tailgate that just comes standard across the board. As far as the bed sizes go, 5-foot or 6-foot beds are available. There is a deck rail system back there with 4 adjustable tie-down cleats. There's also 4 fixed tie-down points as well. As far as the bed material goes, there is a fiber reinforced sheet molded composite bed that comes standard across the board. I like that because a lot of other manufacturers won't actually put a nice bed liner like this one actually comes with standard, so that is pretty cool. There's some storage compartments back there. There's some bed lighting, of course, and there's a tonneau cover that is available if you wanted to go that route. Of course, it is not going to come standard, but then making our way up to the rear legroom, that's going to come in at 24.6 inches for the access cab, what you guys are looking at right now, and then 32.6 inches for the double cab, in case you were curious. There are no charging ports back there. There is a little bit of storage though in between the 2 rear seats there. Not only that, those rear seats of course do fold up in typical truck fashion if you wanted to rather use that back seat area for a little bit of storage for tools or whatever. And there is a rear power window for the SR5 trim level and up. Otherwise, for our SR that we have today, it is a manual window, which quite honestly is plenty fine for me. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the front seats. Manually adjustable cloth seating coming with the SR trim, 10-way power driver's seat for the SR5 trim level and up, leather seating then for the TRD Pro and Limited, and then those leather seats will be heated then for those 2 trim levels as well. Overall though, as far as the seat comfort goes, it's plenty fine. It is cloth seats and they are manually adjustable in our SR, but quite honestly, they didn't bother me, so definitely didn't have any issues there. Then take a look at the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping. It is wrapped in urethane for our SR trim level. However, if you were to go with the SR5 and up, you will get a leather wrapped steering wheel. And I did say it was tilt and telescoping, but having said that, the telescoping part doesn't really telescope out all that far, so there's very little adjustment when it comes to the telescoping part. So if you're somewhat taller adult and you have longer legs and you have to put your seat back a little bit further, just keep in the back of your mind that the telescoping steering wheel is not going to come out maybe as far as you needed it to. So I did want to mention that because that was kind of my particular situation here. But anyways, then making our way to the startup, let me start by showing you guys the key here. You got your Toyota logo on the one side, then when you flip it over, lock and unlock. But I will say it is a push button start for the TRD Pro and Limited trim levels, but if you don't go with those, you got the traditional turnkey start. So all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and turn the key. And so, but then once started up, tachometer is all the way to your left, speedometer then is all the way to your right, and there is a digital speedometer located front and center. To control what is on that digital portion of the speedometer, go ahead and use the steering wheel mounted controls found on the right side of the steering wheel. It's going to give you things like a digital speedometer, how many miles you have left until you hit empty. There's your outside temperature, trip A, trip B, when you need your next oil change, the list goes on. So pretty much everything you could possibly need on the digital portion of the gauges there. Then making our way to overall interior quality, there is an overhead sunglass holder. Cool. That does come standard for all trim levels across the board. Powered moonroof coming with the TRD Pro and Limited, leather trimmed shifter coming with the TRD Sport trim level and up. Auto dimming rear view mirror with HomeLink controls. That is going to come with the TRD Pro and Limited trims. Dual zone climate control coming with the SR5. Otherwise, you're going to get the manual climate control that we have here today. Wireless phone charger then coming with the TRD Sport trim level and up. Just in front of the shifter though, you do have a decent amount of storage and perhaps a place to put your cell phone. You got your dual cup holders. Behind the shifter, you actually have another cup holder and then a little bit more storage. Then within the center armrest, you have a USB charging port and a phone charging port and a decent amount of storage in there as well. And I do like the Tacoma lettering found on the passenger side glove box there. I think that looks pretty cool. There is some grayish soft touch material located on the doors as well. Also very nice there. But for the most part, at least in our SR trim level that we have today, everything is kind of finished more on the basic side, more of the practical to the point, I guess you could say, kind of interior quality. But that pretty much sums that up. And now let's go ahead and make our way to the infotainment screen. 7-inch color touchscreen display is what you guys are currently looking at, and that is going to come on the SR trim level only. Then if you were to jump up to the SR5 and up, you will get an 8-inch color touchscreen display. Either way though, you still get Bluetooth and audio streaming. You still are going to get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in this current display that we have here today, so that's pretty cool. Factory navigation system is going to come on the TRD Pro and Limited trims. As far as the sound system goes, you will get 6 speakers for all trim levels across the board. However, if you were to go with the TRD Pro and Limited trims, that will be a 6-speaker JBL sound system as opposed to the manufactured one for all the other ones. But the JBL is going to give you a subwoofer and an external amp as well. But that's not the one, of course, that we have today. So having said that, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and turn on the radio, see what we got playing today, and let's test out the 6-speaker sound system that we have here today. Quite honestly, for the access cab, is a little bit of a space that is in this vehicle, 6 speakers is plenty fine. Honestly, that was crystal clear. More than enough bass. Actually, the bass surprised me because, again, I was expecting a 6-speaker sound system that was going to sound like a 6-speaker sound system, but quite honestly, this one sounded a little bit above average for 6 speakers, so definitely didn't have any issues with that sound system. I'll just put it that way. But anyways, last thing I'm going to mention to you guys on the infotainment screen is when you do put the Tacoma in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board. Limited is going to add to that a panoramic view monitor, which is going to let you know what is completely all around you, which is always is going to lead us into safety. And so to start, front side curtain airbags do come standard, driver and passenger knee airbags as well. In the back, you're going to have latch, aka lower anchors and tethers to children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system. But then also coming standard for all trim levels across the board will be a pre-collision system with pedestrian detection, dynamic radar cruise control, and lane departure alert as well. And then if you were to go with the TRD Pro or Limited trims, that will add, in addition to that, a blind spot monitor with rear cross traffic alert. And so overall, when it comes to my final thoughts here of the Tacoma, great reliability. Just check out a Consumer Reports magazine that'll back that statement up. V6 is plenty powerful. Like I said, I've driven that plenty of times, and that's probably the engine configuration I would personally go with in this thing. But the 4-cylinder is okay, but the V6 is definitely where you're going to want to be at in the Tacoma. Also a very off-road capable truck as well, depending upon the trim level that you go with, but it is a 4-wheel drive system even on our SR. But yeah, it's very off-road capable, again, dependent upon the trim. And the fact that a 6-speed manual is still available in the Tacoma, I think that's pretty cool. You usually don't find that on vehicles at all these days, so I thought that was pretty cool. As far as the room for improvement goes, it does tend to lean a little bit on the basic side of interior quality, so I will say that. But also, a full digital gauge cluster I think would be pretty cool in this vehicle as well. I know the new Tundra has it, and I know they're not a whole lot to produce because a lot of entry-level vehicles are now starting to come standard with the digital gauge cluster as well, so wouldn't have minded seeing that.